So welcome to this highly requested video, 15 amazing facts about crested geckos. Let's start with number 1. Crested geckos were discovered in New Caledonia, a group of islands in the southwest Pacific Ocean, in 1866. They were actually thought to be extinct up until their rediscovery in 1994. Talking of those individuals who were discovered in 1994, this leads me to number 2. Crested gecko's lifespan. It's still being debated on, however most people agree that the minimum age is about 20 years old, with the highest being around 30 years. Those crested geckos collected in 1994 are still living and breathing today, so who knows, we may have vastly underestimated their age and they may live till they're like 50. Okay, so don't actually quote me on that, but for now we'll say 20 to 30 years. Number 3, they don't have eyelids. This one isn't that rare when it comes to geckos, but don't be worried if your gecko doesn't blink. It's just physically impossible. One problem that comes with the lack of eyelids is you might wonder, how do you know if your gecko is awake or asleep? Most people believe that when the gecko's eyelashes are pointed downwards, the gecko is asleep, and when they're up, the gecko is awake. I've increased the speed of this video to show you when Isla goes from sleeping to awake. Number 4, crested geckos possess a prehensile tail, sort of like a monkey, to help them with climbing and gripping onto vines and branches. Talking of their tail, number 5, they drop their tail when attacked, however their tail does not grow back. Apparently a majority of crested geckos in the wild drop their tail, which isn't unusual since they are open to all kinds of stresses in the wild. Number 6, at the top of a crested gecko's mouth there are 2 endolymphatic sacs where geckos store their calcium. It's important to check these when you're breeding a female. Number 7, eggs. Females lay 2 eggs at a time and this is known as a clutch. Females can produce 6 to 9 clutches per year. Unlike the leopard gecko, it has yet to be proven that the temperature in which the eggs are incubated at determines their gender. Eggs can be incubated between 69 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Whilst we're on the subject of temperature, number 8, crested geckos do not like to be too hot. They can actually die of heat stroke if the temperature stays about 80 degrees or above. And anything below 60 degrees isn't good either. If you're struggling to keep the temperature up in the winter, you can always add a heat mat to the side of the tank. Number 9, lighting. UVB lighting isn't necessary for cresties. Bright light for too long can actually damage their eyes. If you want to use UVB light, for example if you have a naturalistic tank with live plants, it's suggested that the light should only be on for 4 to 6 hours a day. Number 10, crested geckos love humid environments. Ideally, humidity shouldn't drop below 50% and at night it should range from 80 to 100%. You can achieve this by spraying the tank twice a day. Number 11, geckos tend to be known for having sticky feet and being able to walk up walls. However, they're not actually sticky like sellotape or glue. When you touch a crested gecko's feet, you'll notice they're actually really soft and not sticky at all. So what's happening? Well, a gecko's foot and the tip of its tail is covered in 500,000 hairs known as setes. Each is much finer than a human hair. At the end of each one is an even smaller fibre known as a spatulae. 10 million of these would fit on a pinhead. So this is where it gets really scientific. There are intermolecular forces at work here, so the molecules from both the gecko and the surface become charged and attracted to each other. As David Attenborough put it, it's not magnetism, but more of a molecular embrace. What's interesting is the gecko must place its feet on the surface in a very specific way. For example, if I move this iPad that my gecko's on, you can see that she has to keep moving her feet in order to stay attached to the surface. But then she takes the easy way out. Number 12, crested geckos can sort of change their colours. Well, they can fire up, which allows their colours to become more vibrant. They do this for multiple reasons, including camouflage, communication to other geckos, or simply a response to specific things like humidity, temperature, smells and light. Number 13, in the wild they eat a mixture of fruit and insects. In captivity it's recommended they eat fruit diets like rapashi or Pangea more often than live food. Number 14, despite crested geckos being very popular in captivity, sadly their numbers are decreasing in the wild due to habitat loss and introduced species of deers, pigs and fire ants. Sometimes I really wonder if humans didn't mess so much with wildlife, they wouldn't have so many problems. And finally, number 15. All of our crested geckos are probably related. Okay, so they're probably very distant relatives. So basically, when they were first rediscovered, it was thought they only lived on the Isle of Pines. So the ones we have in captivity today probably came from those few specimens collected there. However, since then, wild crested geckos have been found throughout southern areas of the Grande Terre. I can only apologise for that accent. I'm terrible with the French accent. By the way, New Caledonia was colonised by the French, so that's probably where that gets that name. If I said it with my accent, it'd be Grande Terre. I don't know what's worse. I just... Now for a bonus fact. Now, I did not include this with the 15 amazing facts about crested geckos, because technically it's about the land they're from, New Caledonia. And in a previous video, I did explain that the first explorers of the land compared it to Scotland because of its temperature and overall feel. Now, some people did debate me on this, but I think I did prove that that's sort of what was said about the land. What's really interesting, right, is I live with a historian, and that has its perks sometimes. Turns out, Caledonia is a Latin name given by Romans to the land of Scotland. So, Caledonia, Scotland, New Caledonia, it all links together now. So that was a 15 amazing facts about crested geckos. Though we're still learning more and more about them every day, I actually found the research pretty interesting. If there's another animal you'd like to see presented in this style, let me know in the comments section below. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this video and thank you very much for watching.